Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to make your very own ukulele out of materials that you have at home. So you'll need a tin, some rubber bands, a strong cardboard box, a pair of scissors, and it would be helpful if you had a craft knife, a cutting mat, 6 kebab sticks or chopsticks, about 15 toothpicks, a hole punch, a glue gun or craft glue, a ruler, a pencil, and some tape. So now we're going to cut out a rectangular piece for the neck of the ukulele. It's 23 centimeters by 5 centimeters. And remember, if you're using the craft knife, to use the cutting mat beneath it. You'll need to cut 4 more strips of cardboard 5 centimeters wide to put on the back of this piece. So I cut up 4 more pieces of cardboard and now I have 5 pieces in total. And we're going to stick them together. Now craft glue or a glue gun would be stronger. But just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use tape because it's a more common material. So you stack all of them on top of each other and then you indent the second one from the top. You want it to be about 5 centimeters outward and then you just stick it together. And then you cut another piece that is this long and about this wide. I just found this is a scrap piece and it actually is the perfect size. You'll need 2 pieces of this. So here I've got my 2 pieces, and on each piece you measure 1 centimeter inwards from each side on each end of each piece. So basically 4 dots just like that. These dots mark where you need to punch holes. So as you can see, some of the holes I punched are off center. That's fine. As long as when you line the 2 pieces up, the holes are more or less at the same places. So you get the neck of the ukulele, and then these 2 pieces are basically the headstock. So you put 1 piece on the top and 1 piece on the bottom, and then you glue or stick it together again. Next, you take your tin and a big piece of cardboard. You want it to be big enough to surround the whole tin. So you put it round about in the middle and you trace around the tin. Then you cut out the shape. But keep in mind that you want to keep the outside, not the inside. So here's my cutout. And now I'm going to draw a 5 centimeter border around this circle here. If you have less than 5 centimeters, like in this case, then all you do is you can just leave it like that, but try to get as close as possible to 5 centimeters. Then cut the square out again. So this is the part where you will actually need glue and you can't stick it with tape. I've tried it before and it doesn't work. It falls apart very easily. So you stick it right around the top of the tin. Make sure to have something beneath where you're sticking it because it's very messy. So like scrap paper or something. Just to make it a bit easier for yourself, you could stick this top bit with tape just to keep it in place. And then afterwards glue it on. Now we're going to make the bridge of the ukulele. So you're going to use a chopstick or a kebab stick. Preferably a chopstick because it's thicker, and what we're going to do is we're going to carve out bits of the chopstick. So first you estimate where the middle of the chopstick is. So from the mark you made of the middle of the chopstick, you measure 2.5 centimeters towards the left and 2.5 centimeters towards the right. So on 1.5 and 3.5 centimeters you make more marks. And that is basically where you're going to make the carvings. So 0, 1.5, 3.5 and 5. Bit by bit you carve off pieces of the wood until you make something whole-like. You're not cutting into the wood but carving off bits. So basically this is what the carving looks like. So here I'm done with my 4 carvings for the 4 strings. So get 4 rubber bands and cut them open so that they're one long piece instead of in a loop. And then we're going to make a knot around the carving you made. So now it can't slip around on the stick. So once you've tied all 4 strings, you're just going to glue it to the stick so that it doesn't come loose. So this is the bridge of the ukulele along with the strings. So what we're going to do is measure and cut the stick in intervals of 3.5 centimeters. You need 4 sticks, so 4 intervals. And then you use your craft knife to cut these pieces. Now, if you don't have a craft knife, you can use a scissor, but it's just a very tedious process and it's very difficult. It will be difficult to cut all the way through, so just cut on the edges as deep as you can. As soon as you have cut as far as you can, you take the stick and you try to break it where you cut. Now it will be softer and thinner at that place, so it will be easier to break. Just like that. So here I have my 4 sticks that I'm going to turn into pegs now. So get your tape, and then what we're basically going to do is make it like a cone shape. You take the stick and right on the edge, you tape that piece on and twist it around just like that. So this half is the piece with tape, and you're going to tape it over the middle of this, so here. Then you tape it again over this bit here. So you get the neck of the ukulele and you try to pass this piece through this hole. You can also twist it to help get it through. If it comes through at all, like that, then what you need to do is put more tape at the end. So what you're trying to do is make it difficult to go in, but so that it stops going through at a point. So just keep putting on layers until it doesn't want to go through anymore. But don't put here at the front half. So now if I put it in and then twist it, it goes through till about this point. And that's exactly how it should be. So now we're actually going to put the bridge on the body of the ukulele. And you need to decide on what side you want the neck to be. So for me, this side fits it the best, so that this piece of cardboard reaches till this point. Whichever side you choose the neck to be on, the bridge should be on the opposite side. So we need to lift the bridge up from the body actually. So you can use any scrap pieces of boxes that you have left and just cut 3 long strips which you would place underneath the bridge. So here are my 3 strips and they're literally just the size of the stick. You're going to take your glue gun or your cross glue and just stick them together. Then stick them on the body of the ukulele on the opposite side of where you want the fretboard and the neck of the ukulele. And then you're going to stick this on top of here. So here's the bridge stuck to the body of the ukulele. Now the bit that looks a lot like the bridge that's here at the top of the fretboard is called the nut, and we're going to make that right now. Get any remains that you have left from your chopsticks or kebab sticks, and then you see what the width of the fretboard is. You mark that off on the stick. So you're just going to cut this bit and stick it right there as the nut of the ukulele. So it's just like that. With this piece you made here to slip in, you could just pull the string and see if it would go up until the headstock here. If you feel like it's very short and it would snap if you pull it that far, don't do it. Don't pull that far. It all depends on how long your rubber band is. Mine is quite long, so I can take it up until there. But if yours is shorter, I would suggest connecting 2 pieces together. So before you even stick the neck of the ukulele on, do the strings first, because I did it the other way around and now it was very hard because I had to keep the string stretched the whole time to let the glue dry. And now I really regret doing it this way. So first, glue the strings onto the pegs and then glue the neck onto the body of the ukulele. So first we're going to take the 2 outer strings and glue them to the tuning pegs here. What you're going to do is just glue the tip of it to the top point of the tuning peg. So you just glue it to keep it in place, and then the rest of the string would go around that. So you'll need to put a bit of glue on, take the string and then hold it onto the glue until it dries. So it just looks like this. First, we're gonna glue the neck to the body of the ukulele. So after gluing the neck of the ukulele on, this is still a bit flexible. So to solve that problem, we can use chopsticks and put it here at the back for support. So I added the kebab sticks here, 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 and here. So this is how it looks when you put the strings on. Basically, I just put these drawing pins here at the top because the tuning pegs didn't line up with where the strings were here at the bottom. So I color coded them, and as you can see, blue goes to blue and it goes straight down to the bridge. It doesn't go diagonally. And then I also just put another piece of cardboard at the back to make the headstock wider, because originally the pegs didn't go in straight, so I just wanted to fix that. And as you can see, it makes sound. But now we first have to tune it. So you can use a piano or a tuner online, or I'm using GarageBand. So when you're holding the ukulele like this, the string that is at the top, in this case it's the blue one for me, that has to be a G. So you listen to the keyboard and you see if it matches the string. If it doesn't, you have to adjust the tuning pegs by turning it here at the back to make it tighter. And you can check the pitch by trying to hear the note and sing it. So it's in this case it's a B and it would seem too high, but we're aiming for the higher G, because when you tune a ukulele, it's G, C, E, A, but it's the higher G, so you have to still turn it up. So as you can see, my bridge just snaps off. Now, don't do the same. Don't turn the strings as tight. If you can't go for the higher G, then go for the lower one. At least you will have a G then. The same goes for the other strings. Don't turn it too tight. It will break something. So I just restuck my bridge, and now I'm going to try it again. So it's G, C, E, A. So all my strings are now tuned, but there's one thing missing: frets. So now we'll have to add those. So you're gonna take a toothpick and place it here. If it is too long, as you can see the tip is crossing the cardboard piece, then you need to cut that part off. Then you put it on a piece of tape, and you have to listen to where it increases in semitones. So to do that, you just choose any string and you strum it. Then you place your first finger on the fretboard somewhere, and you try to increase in semitones. So that's how semitones sound. And then wherever the first semitone is, that's where you place the toothpick, just like that. And all you do is increase in semitones till you get to the top. I'll show you when I'm done. So when you're done with the ukulele, it should look something like this. And although a normal ukulele is tuned with the higher G and a higher A, my strings couldn't go that high. And whether that happens to you or not depends all on what strings you use. So like if your rubber bands are thinner or thicker or longer or shorter, all those things play a role. The rubber bands I used are really thick, so my ukulele actually sounds more like a bass ukulele, but it's tuned like a soprano ukulele. But anyway, let me just play you some chords. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this video and I hope you found it helpful. This was the last video in a 4-part series where I make upcycled music. If you want the other videos, I'll link it up here and down below. These videos are a bit different from what I usually do on my channel. And if you would like me to make more videos like this in the future, you can let me know in the comment section. Again, thank you for watching. Bye, and I'll see you next week.